Hello, everyone. Good day to you all. Now, today's Bible study is on Joshua chapter 14. Now, as I was reading it, I was thinking, I'm not going to get much out of this. But with further thought on it and seeing for what it really is, I've got a nice surprise for you. There's some good nuggets in this. And I have to go back to the word that I always say. Every Bible book, every one is of importance. Every chapter is of importance. You can believe that. You just have to have your mind, have your thoughts open, your mind open to receive. So the book of Joshua, chapter 14, is one of the most inspiring chapters in the Bible because it highlights the faith, perseverance, and courage of Caleb. While many people focus on Joshua, chapter 14 shines a spotlight on a man who waited 45 years for God's promise. That's right, 45 years and never stopped believing. And it's almost incredible to believe that think about that, 45 years that you've been waiting on something from God. 45 years. I'll probably will be saying this over and over throughout, but that's incredible. 45 years. Wow. See, while many people focus on Joshua, chapter 14 shines a spotlight on a man who waited 45 years for God's promise and never stopped believing. So this chapter is about faithfulness. It's about patience. It's about perseverance. It's about courage, and it's about receiving God's promises. And the central message is that God rewards those who remain faithful over the long haul. I'm going to give you some points here. Point number 1, Caleb never let go of God's promise. Joshua 14:10 says, "And now behold, the Lord hath kept me alive." 45 years earlier, Caleb and Joshua were the only spies who trusted God's promise. Everyone else focused on the giants, the obstacles, and the fear. Caleb focused on God. The significance of this is that many people start with faith. Few maintain it for decades. And Caleb teaches us that true faith endures. For 45 years worth, yes, it has to endure. Point number 2. Delayed doesn't mean denied. God promised Caleb a specific inheritance. Yet he waited through wilderness years. He waited through battles. He waited through seasons of uncertainty. And God's timetable is often different from ours. A delayed promise isn't a broken promise. Joshua chapter 14 reminds us that God remembers every word he speaks. See, we may not remember every word that we speak, but he remembers every word he speaks. Point number 3, Caleb was still going strong at age 85. Joshua 14:10 says, "I am this day 85 years old." Yet Caleb boldly declares in Joshua 14:11, "As my strength was then, even so is my strength now." And that's to say, even as when he had that young man's strength, the strength he had then is still the strength he had at 85. The significance is that most people wouldn't be seeking retirement. They would be seeking retirement at age 85. And Caleb was seeking conquest. Faith kept him focused on purpose instead of age. Point number 4, give me this mountain. In Joshua 14:12, it says, "Now therefore give me this mountain." This is the defining statement of the chapter. The significance is that Caleb didn't ask for easier land. He didn't ask for safer land. He didn't ask for smaller challenges. He asked for the mountain where giants still lived. And faith doesn't run from challenges. Faith confronts the challenges. Point number 5. The giants were still there. The Anakim still occupied the territory Caleb desired. The significance is that even after receiving God's promise, Caleb still had to fight for possession. And this teaches that God's promises often require courage and action. And faith is not passive. Faith doesn't sit around. Faith is an action. Point number 6. God rewards wholehearted commitment. The Bible repeatedly says Caleb wholly followed the Lord. The significance is that Caleb's blessing wasn't accidental. His reward was connected to decades of faithfulness. While others wandered in unbelief, Caleb remained steadfast. And again, I have to point out 45 years. And let's be honest. How many of us would wait 45 years? I'm waiting. How many of us would wait 45 years? No matter what it was. 45 years. That's a long time. And during that time, I'm sure, I'm just being human here, I'm sure we would be coming up with excuses of not for not to wait. And you would have people telling you, you would have people in your ear telling you, you might as well, give up. God doesn't have this plan for you. But here's the thing with God. If he promises you something, then he will come through with it, no matter how long the wait. See, that's the difference. If it's something that you think he promised you, you may not see it. But the thing is, when you know without a shadow of a doubt that he made this promise to you, then you hold fast to it. You hold fast to it. Point number 7, last point. Hebron became Caleb's inheritance. Joshua granted Caleb the land God had promised. And the significance is that after 45 years, God's promise became reality. And this is one of the clearest examples in Scripture that God keeps his word. So the major theme of Joshua chapter 14 is that faithful people keep trusting God even when fulfillment takes years. And we're talking about 45 years in this case. See, Caleb refused to allow time. He refused to allow age. He refused to allow delays. He refused to allow giants to stop him from believing what God had promised. And I'm sure, if we want to throw another one in there, he refused to allow other people to be in his ear. So Joshua chapter 14 teaches that wholehearted faith, perseverance, and unwavering trust in God will eventually lead to the fulfillment of his promises. And the key verse in this is that from Joshua chapter 14, verse 12 is, give me this mountain. This verse captures the spirit of Caleb, determined, faithful, courageous, and unwilling to settle for less than what God had promised. And with that being said, continue to renew your mind. Enough said.